Ultra Ego Vegeta is the strongest form of Vegeta, and it represents a lot more than just an immense power-up. Along with being a complementary form to Goku's Ultra Instinct, Vegeta can now stand on his own, and in Dragon Ball Super, Vegeta is different. His character has gone through a redemption arc that was finished up at the end of Z, and he's now moved on to something more modern, a new arc. His first introduction into the series, he was the strongest Saiyan alive. Only out of 4, but he was still the strongest Saiyan alive. A high-class warrior who did train, but never needed to and never relied on that to become as strong as he possibly could be. He was just naturally the best of the Saiyans. Throughout his entire life, that idea had never been challenged until he met Goku, who did challenge him with training. And to rub it in even further, Goku was a low-class Saiyan. He had no right contesting Vegeta or even breathing the same air as Vegeta. They were on different planets because their power disparity at birth was so different. Although he did technically win their first fight on Earth by beating Goku in a one-on-one fight by transforming into an Ozaru, in the end it didn't feel like a win. Vegeta had to retreat because he was beaten up so badly. This leads into the second confrontation on planet Namek. Vegeta had become even stronger. By utilizing Zenkai boosts and becoming a more powerful Saiyan, he had thought that he had become the legendary Super Saiyan, the first one in over 1,000 years. But he wasn't. It was Goku. In the eyes of Frieza, someone who had dominated Vegeta all of his life and the only person who he truly feared aside from maybe Beerus, Vegeta was left in the most vulnerable state he had been in all of his life, crying his eyes out in front of the last remaining Saiyan, Goku, pleading with him to kill Frieza because he knew that he couldn't do it. It would be cemented from this moment seeing how powerful Goku had become. His only goal in life is to surpass Goku. That's it, and for the next 4 years he would train relentlessly in order to surpass the first Super Saiyan seen in over 1,000 years. This single-minded goal of only surpassing Goku, and that's it, did make Vegeta much stronger. He became a Super Saiyan himself. He even ascended the Super Saiyan form, but he could never quite surpass Goku, even with all of that training. In the end, Vegeta always played second best. The idea of never being number 1 again was always rubbed in his face. This is even further emphasized when Goku's kid, Gohan, was the one to defeat Cell, and upon witnessing something like this, he swears to never fight again. Goku had gone out in the most stoic and heroic way imaginable, sacrificing himself for the sake of his son and his home planet, something Vegeta never got the chance to do. Goku had truly, in every essence and every way of the word, surpassed Vegeta. It was at the end of the Cell games that Vegeta was truly beaten, and it would be cemented in his mind that nothing he would ever do would be enough to surpass Goku. Until 7 years later, and that same man comes back, allowing Vegeta to once again fall down the despair of darkness, unlocking Majin Vegeta, allowing him to finish up another branch of his character arc in his final atonement. But in his one-on-one rivalry with Goku, he is being deceived the entire time, thinking that he is now on par with the man, but Goku isn't even trying and holding back an entire transformation. Once discovered, this information crushes Vegeta. It would take his death and everybody on the planet being killed, then the planet itself being destroyed, then seeing Super Saiyan 3 Goku fighting Kid Buu firsthand, for Vegeta to finally come to the realization that nothing he had been able to do throughout the entire duration of the Dragon Ball Z story would be enough to surpass Goku. It is at this point that he has to admit that he had been second best, and Goku was number 1. Coming to terms with the truth and releasing his ego, this would put a completed end into Vegeta's single focus of purely surpassing Goku, fighting only in regards to become the best, only for himself. In Dragon Ball Super, Vegeta would begin to make a slight deviation. Instead of training with the pure intention of surpassing Goku and regaining the title of the strongest Saiyan in the universe, he would train more for himself and just to not get sloppy. Still of course wanting to be the strongest, but it's not his main focus and drive. As they would both begin training under Whis soon after Beerus arrived on Earth, with Vegeta having a bit of a head start on Goku in that regard, and so naturally they both become Super Saiyan gods. Their power evens out to where they are both so in line with each other that it doesn't even matter who is stronger at this point. The genesis of their godly training is actually skipped over in the manga, but is dived into more in depth in the anime, where it shows them unlocking Super Saiyan Blue at roughly the same time, and then even going into the time chamber to train together for years. Something that Vegeta throughout the majority of Z would never have done. Training with Goku would have been a big turn-off for him, and there's no way he would have ever done it. But now in Super, he respects Goku and understands that just because he was born more powerful doesn't mean he will stay more powerful. During the discovery and introduction of the Universe 6 Saiyans, Vegeta actually even takes on a mentorship role in guiding these Saiyans who have never heard of the Super Saiyan transformation before, and pushes them to evolve and develop. Again, would Z Vegeta have done this? Probably not. Even when training with his own son in the time chamber, he never actually once trained with him and was said to have done the majority of his development alone. Against Goku Black and the immortal divine god Zamasu, Vegeta was fighting alongside Goku for the first real time since Kid Buu. These moments mark Vegeta as a completely different individual than who he once was, and it all comes together in total for his final form. Ever since Goku had become a Super Saiyan, that is all Vegeta wanted to do. In a sense, he wanted to surpass Goku, but he went about it by not copying him, but following in his very footsteps. The original Super Saiyan form, Super Saiyan 2, he never reached Super Saiyan 3, but there's no doubt he definitely tried to, and he never even grew back his tail, something that Goku also never did. He was becoming domesticated and subconsciously following Goku, even though his main goal was to always surpass him. In the early stages of Dragon Ball Super, he would do the same thing. Super Saiyan Blue and Super Saiyan God make them identical, and at no point does one really outshine the other while in this form, at least to a level that would make it as obvious as their next forms. Super Saiyan God was their first step into this new era of power, and ever since, both have been figuring out ways to reach that next level. For Goku, he found it during the Tournament of Power. Ultra Instinct is a pure martial arts form where the user is able to fight freely without even thinking, and would be the real world equivalent of a flow state of mind. And so when Vegeta sees Goku unlock Ultra Instinct and rival a being stronger than most of the gods of destruction, he does subconsciously fall back into this routine of copying Goku and trying to attain this new power for himself. However, it doesn't work, and it never works. Vegeta pretty quickly after trying to replicate the power of Ultra Instinct realizes that this does not suit him at all, and instead of relentlessly killing himself in the process of endlessly chasing this form, he steps back and says no. He will do things his own way. This was a pretty pivotal moment when you look at the character of Vegeta. There were always these jokes about how he could never attain Super Saiyan 3, despite him being overtly upset over the fact that Goku had been able to achieve it. This is now completely different. Vegeta had been using Goku as a guide to reach the next level. Whatever that level was, he would always follow. And how could you ever expect to pass someone that you would always follow? It was never going to happen under the old mentality. Vegeta in his past had killed many innocent people. He was almost as bad as Frieza himself. During the invasion on New Planet Namek by the warlord Moro, Vegeta is met with the very beings he once slaughtered for a single Dragon Ball. It is in this moment that he feels genuine remorse and disdain for the man who he once was, the opposite of ego. If this feeling had a transformation, it would be known as Ultra Guilt. Ultra Guilt Vegeta is the opposite of Ultra Ego, and in order for him to reach this new form, he must eliminate that feeling from within him. Taught by the god of destruction Beerus, he learns that he must destroy any stray thoughts that lead to guilt and hesitation or any overall weakness, and rebuild it back up again under this new mindset. Going against his domestication since finding a home on Earth, combining all of Vegeta's anti-hero tendencies while still remaining a fully developed character and putting them into a single form, Ultra Ego. This pulls him up into the Ultra Instinct tier of battle strength, and he did it all on his own. This would be the first time in history he had found a way to rival Goku without directly using one of his forms, and is a huge shift in momentum for him. A new form was always going to come to Vegeta, but some believed it to be a more offensive version of Ultra Instinct. While that wasn't too far off, instead it was something that perfectly aligns with the man Vegeta had become, and the man he had always been throughout his life. Ultra Ego along with Ultra Instinct are world-class examples of how a transformation should be done and can be done and truly define who a character is. While in this state, Vegeta is able to grow stronger as he battles and gets more into a fight, growing in power for every bit of damage taken. It is poetic that this is a form showcased for the first time against Granola, someone who also had his civilization destroyed by the Saiyans and Frieza, and is on his own quest of achieving power himself. Vegeta states many times that while in this form, his battle power has no limitations, as he is able to grow and become stronger the longer a fight goes on. There has been an overdose of transformations for a lot of different Dragon Ball characters recently. Orange Piccolo, Beast Gohan, Black Frieza, but Ultra Ego genuinely could be his final form. The idea of having no limitations, and the purple hair also can be reminiscent of becoming akin to a god of destruction. Since this is a Beerus-inspired ability, Vegeta becoming a god of destruction down the line also cannot be overlooked. It always feels weird calling something a final form in Dragon Ball. Both Ultra Instinct and Ultra Ego fit what a potential final form would look and act like, but the story of Dragon Ball could go on for decades, and it's already almost been 10 years since the beginning of Super, and you had the idea being thrown around of Super Saiyan God being the final form. Ultra Ego not being bound by limitations and the lasting potential to always grow stronger in that form. From a narrative perspective, this should be his final form, but it's Dragon Ball and it wouldn't be surprising if they came out with a new one, although at this point, there aren't many colors left. At the end of Dragon Ball Super Hero, Goku and Vegeta were involved in a B-plot that had them engage in a one-on-one fight off-screen, only in their base forms, not using any energy attacks and just pure combat. This fight was done entirely off-screen and was never shown, but is actually considered to be their third official fight, and in the end, Vegeta wins. No Ultra Ego, no Ultra Instinct, just in their base forms, Vegeta beats Goku. This does make it somewhat meaningless, as if they were both actually able to go all out, it would have been a much better gauge and the result may have been different. However, it is worth noting that Vegeta is now technically 3 for 3, having beaten Goku all times in a one-on-one fight. No matter how much they don't actually feel like wins, he has beaten Goku every time one-on-one. In the end, Ultra Ego is a god of destruction rivaling form that puts Vegeta onto the level of Ultra Instinct, and powers him up just in time for what I think is going to be a very exciting time coming ahead for Dragon Ball Super. As he was still getting beaten down by some of the most recent villains, there is still a lot to learn about the potential of this state of being, as it is stated to be a limitless form. But ultimately, he still got one shot by Black Frieza.